Okay, decluttering episode number 1. And I'm starting with my refrigerator. Now, guys, it is full because I bought way too much stuff trying to get ready for the holidays. And I'm not wanting to waste none of it. And you see, I've got 2 refrigerators side by side, and they're both full. Both freezers, both refrigerators. So don't judge me when you see this. But I'm fixing to declutter this. I'm going to take the clementines, the lemons, and I'm going to can them. I'm going to take the pears. I'm going to make pear butter. I've got kale. I've got spinach. I'm going to dehydrate. I've got celery I'm going to dehydrate. And I've got carrots I'm going to dehydrate. So nothing's going to go to waste. So it's time to do it. I took the kale out and I washed it all real good, and I'm going to let it dry before I put it in the dehydrator. I've got everything washed and clean. Now I'm going to dice it all up and get it ready. Okay, I'm just going to put this kale, just going to spread it out on my dehydrators, and I'm just going to spread it out as best as possible. One of these days I'm going to get me a good dehydrator. Right now I'm making do. I got this at Sports Academy outdoors place. I mean, it does a decent job, but I need to get a better one. One of them big fancy ones. What are they called? Excaliburs? Or is that done? Anyways, I need a good one. But I'm just going to keep layering this kale. And I'm going to let it dehydrate all night. Then I'll put it up. Kale's going to be really good to put, like, if you make like a white bean soup. Once you get it cooked, you can just kind of throw a little bit of kale in there at the end. Or if you make smoothies, you can put it in your spice grinder and grind it up in powder and put it in your smoothies. That'll be really healthy for you. There's just all kinds of things you can do with dehydrated kale or spinach. So I'm going to get all this put in there the best I can and get it dehydrated. It actually just took about 4 hours for the kale, and it was done. Now I've got my celery and my carrots in there, and I'm gonna let them go for probably about 8 hours. Now, if you're gonna be canning your lemons, you're gonna leave the rind on there, so you want to clean them really good. Now, if you're gonna be canning them, or just if you're gonna be preserving them in salt, you want to make sure you clean them good. In a place like that, I would probably trim off. I don't really know what that is, but these are Meyer lemons, and I need to do something with them before they go bad. So I haven't made up my mind. I'm going to, if I'm going to go ahead and can my oranges, I might as well can these lemons, because there are a lot of times that I need a lemon or some lemons for something I'm making, like fish or shrimp or something like that. And I don't live close to a grocery store, so I don't have access to run and get a lemon. So to be able to open a jar up and use some lemon I mean, it's a good deal. Plus the fact that I just don't want them to go to waste, because that's wasted money. So I'm thinking that I'm going to can these along with my oranges. But if you want to, you can just preserve them in salt. And it's a real easy process too. So I think I've got these pretty well clean. And your best bet really is, I mean, if you're really trying to be careful, to use organic lemons. But I wasn't able to get organic. So I've been soaking this in vinegar, and now I'm washing them good and get them as clean as you can. So we're fixing to start canning here in just a little bit. So y'all hang around. Okay, we're going to start canning our oranges, and you can see I've done peeled a bunch of them because I didn't figure y'all wanted to sit there and watch me peel a bunch of oranges. But this was 5 pounds, more or less, because I probably have ate 3 of them. But what I've got here are clementines. So you can any kind of oranges. Oranges are very high in acid, so they're very shelf stable if canned correctly. And you can can from navel oranges, clementines, tangerines, mandarins, oranges, just whatever your heart's desire, or whatever you have, like I did, left over in the refrigerator, and they do something with it. But this is good to do, to have on your shelf in case of bad times, that you would have fruit. You know, we all can apples and stuff like that, pears. But to have oranges canned is a good thing too. Open a jar up if you're wanting to make a fruit salad. If you're just wanting to have some fruit after supper, it's a good thing to have on the shelf. But, you know, if you're like me and you live 20 miles from every grocery store, you just try to keep things handy like that. And besides it being shelf stable, it's a great thing. But all you have to do is, when you peel your oranges, your clementines, or whatever, you want to get as much of the white pith off as you can. You're not going to be able to get it all off, but that's okay. That's just up to you. But you can tell that I just kind of went through there and just took off most of it, but not all of it. You can your oranges in segments, or I'm going to do it in halves. I feel like they don't get as mushy, but in fact, I'll probably eat these right here that fell apart. But you can see right here, there's a lot of white pith on this one, and I could not get it off. Now, if you can't get it off, that's okay. No big deal. I don't guess. But usually, when it gets this way, it's starting to dry out. This clementine, you can tell, is starting to dry out just a little bit. But the rest of them are good and juicy. Now, the one thing that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to throw away my peelings, because I make homemade cleaner, and I'm going to use all these peelings to put in my vinegar to start another batch of surface cleaner. So there's another good use for your oranges. Now, I've changed my mind on my lemons. I'm not going to put them in a syrup like I am my oranges. I think I'm going to do a preserving salt. I think I'm going to do that. Now, if I had like a bunch of lemons like I may do sometime, I'll probably put a syrup on them. But this time I'm just going to do a little salt preserve on them. So I've got all my oranges ready. And if you look in the Ball Complete book of home canning, there's a recipe for canning oranges, but I think that recipe is like a spice syrup. And I'm not really wanting to put any spice in this, because I want to be able to use it for different, you know, just to eat it or to put in a fruit salad or whatever. Sometimes I use clementines and different oranges in cakes and stuff like that. So I don't want to put anything in there that I wouldn't want, you know, in my recipe. So I'm getting everything ready here to start canning. And when you peel an orange, there's that little stringy thing right in the middle. All you gotta do is just take the end of it and just be real careful and pull it off. If you pull off too much, they're going to come off in segments. Now, that's only if you want to leave them in halves like this. But you really do want to get that string that's in the middle of that orange. And I've done that with all these. It didn't take long to get them peeled. And of course, I couldn't help but eat a fourth of them that I peeled either. You see, this one's still got quite a bit of white pith. But you can just take your thumbnail or anything and just get as much of that off as you can. Like I said, it's no big deal. You just don't want it just covered in white pith like this one. This is the one that I was talking about a while ago that You can tell when they're starting to dry out because they'll get real pithy looking like that, and then you can tell on the wedges that they're drying out. So I'll probably just eat those instead of canning them. So I'm going to get my syrup ready. Mr. Brown's over here peeping at me. I'm going to get my syrup ready, and we'll get started on this process. While my stuff's heating up and getting ready for me to can these oranges, I want to show y'all what I do real quick to make my surface cleaner. Now, when I make my cleaners, I use distilled vinegar. I use distilled vinegar for my surface cleaners and for canning. My homemade vinegars, like my apple cider vinegar and stuff, I use for my own consumption. I don't use it to clean with. I just like the distilled vinegar better. So all you have to do is all these leftover peelings, just put them in your jar. And I'm going to get as many in here as I can because that oil from your orange peelings is what is so good to make that surface cleaner. It's the same with your lemon peels. It's the oil that comes off of your peelings. Now, if you can see right here, this is the one that I use all the time. And as I take out to make up my cleaner in my bottle, my spray bottle, I always add back to it. And you can see up here, I just recently added some, that's orange peel, yeah, because we had ate some clementines. And I just took the lid off and just added it to the top. But what's in here and what's been in here for months is whole lemons. Yes, I put the whole lemon in there. And I've got some rosemary. I think I've got rosemary and basil in there with it. And of course my distilled vinegar. And it sits in on my shelf. And when I need to make me some cleaner, I just get me a spray bottle and I'll put about 1/4 of a cup of my homemade vinegars cleaning stuff here, and then I'll add probably about I don't know, I don't fill the whole bottle up with water, probably about 1.5 cups. And some people even go farther than that and put a couple of tablespoons of Dawn dish detergent in there, and that makes a wonderful cleaner. But I don't, for just my surface cleaner, my countertops and stuff, I just use my citrus cleaner here in water. That's just up to you how far you want to go with it. But I'm just going to fill up my jar, and I've got more here than what I need, and I'll just put it in my compost. Because I have another huge jar of my citrus cleaner on the shelf too, so I've got plenty. But you just push that down in there like that. Make sure you got the stickers off of it. I'm going to pack them down in there as much as I can. Get as many as I can in there, because the more I put in there, the more that citrus, that orange oil will come off that peeling into your vinegar and make a really good cleaner. So I'm just going to keep packing it. And then I'm going to pour my distilled vinegar over the top. You just got to make sure that all your peelings are covered with vinegar. And that's all there is to it. Put your lid on it. let it sit for a couple of weeks, and you ought to be able to use it in a couple of weeks. About that easy. Now I washed my jars. They're clean. They've been sterilized. They're good and hot. I've got my syrup here, which was 10.5 cups of water and 1 1/4 cups of sugar. And I just heated it till the sugar dissolved and then brought it to a boil. And that's all you have to do with that syrup. And I've got my water bath canner over here heating up. And I've got my lids over here in some hot water. And I'm just going to start. Well, these jars are hot. But I'm going to start putting my oranges in here. And I'm not for sure how many pints I'm going to get out of this. But I'm just going to, probably not very many, but I'm going to do what I can do. And I've also got a few small jars I think I'm going to do for things that I don't need, you know. But you know, if I'm making like a fruit salad or something, this is going to come in very handy. You need to leave a 1/2 inch headspace at the top. I think that's plenty in that jar. I've got this one halfway full. Now you can do this in segments like I said, but I'm going to do mine in halves. And I think I'm going to do a small jar too. And probably easier to do this in wide mouth jars, but I didn't have any, so I'm just using what I have. And I'm just going to put a few in here. I might have to break this one in half to get it enough in there. Just push them down in there, and some of the juice comes out. It's okay. You don't want a lot of the juice come out of oranges though. Now, you can do this in a simple syrup like I'm doing, or you can do it in just plain water. From what I've read though, if you can oranges in just plain water, they seem to lose their taste. So I'm using the simple syrup. So I'm not going to do all these. I'm going to show y'all let me get this over here in front. I'm going to show y'all real quick. I'm going to put some of my syrup in the small jar. And like I said, the recipe in the Ball Complete Book of Home Canning, they use a spice syrup. And somebody might want to do that. And I put too much in that one. I'll get it out. But I think a simple syrup is what I'm going to do though. Let me do this other one. I've got too much in my little one to get some of it out. Like I said, I'm not sure how many pints I'm going to make, but when I get done and come back, get them in the canner, we'll see how many I got out of a little less than 5 pounds of clementine. Because like I said, we've been eating on them, so. I'm going to push that orange down in there. I'm going to debubble it. And I'm using this because for some reason I cannot find my debubbler. I know it's in there, I just can't find it, so I'm using the end of my lid thing I get my lids out of the water with. I'm going to push that down in there. And this one I got too much in, so I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get me some, all you got to do is get you a little bit of vinegar and water, or just plain vinegar, and wipe your rims, because I'm sure that you're going to have a little bit of syrup on there, and you want to get that off so your lids will seal good. I'm going to put a lid on that one. lid on this one. My lids are hot. Not boiling, but they're hot. And I'm going to put my rings on. Finger tight. And I'm going to put them in my canner, and then I'm going to finish them off. When we come back, we'll see how many pints I got. So let me get this done, and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, this is what I got after cleaning the refrigerator out and getting the oranges and lemons out. I ended up with 4 pints and a half a pint of orange segments. And because I didn't want to waste my sugar syrup, and so I have plenty in the canner, I just went ahead and searched my lemons, and I'm going to do it that way this time. Maybe next time I'll do the salt preserving. I just want to have plenty in my canner. So I'm going to put the lid on this, bring them up to a boil, and then I'm going to time them for 10 minutes. And whether if you're canning quarts or pints, it's 10 minutes on both. Now, that is if you live up to 1,000 foot elevation. Now, if you're up to 6,000 feet elevation, you need to go 15 minutes. So I'm going to bring these up to a boil. Let them boil 10 minutes, and I'll get them out of the canner. We'll see what they look like.
Smokehouse and temperature.
Now I've got this leftover ham too, and I'm going to use it too. It came out of the refrigerator from leftovers. And I'm going to I've got my big canner here, and I'm going to make me a big pot of beans. And we'll eat them for supper, and I'll can them up too. That way, because I'm needing some beans in the pantry. And I'm going to put me some garlic powder. Like Miss Vicky says, you can never have enough garlic. I'm going to put me a handful of dried onions. Get rid of them. I'll put about a tablespoon of black pepper. And some people don't salt their beans before they cook them because they think they get tough. I have, in all my life that I've been cooking beans, I've always put salt in my beans, because if you try to do it afterwards, you can never get enough salt in there. So, and mine's always come out tender, but I cook them all day too. But I'm going to put some salt, however much you want. Put about a couple tablespoons in there. We're going to put that on the stove and let it cook all day, and can them up later. And that's another way to get rid of leftovers. So hey guys, going through my refrigerator and decluttering that thing, I'm telling you, it's just like, I loved it. I just felt like I really accomplished something, because my family tell you my refrigerator's always full and cluttered, because I always I keep it full, because you never know when somebody's going to come over, when you need extra, or because of the fact that I don't run to the grocery store every day or every other day. So it's always full. But with the holidays, it really got bad. And I cannot stand to waste food. So, going in there and decluttering it, the stuff that was still good, the kale, the carrots, the onions, and all this stuff that I just could not make. Oh, the celery, that's the other thing. I could not make myself throw it away. And I knew I wasn't going to be doing a bunch of big batch cooking today. except for the big ham bone that had ham on. And I also found a package of ham in there. So my freezer space is full. So I've got a big pot of beans on the stove with that big old ham bone in there. And we're going to have beans tonight. And then later on, what's left over, I'll can up and put on the shelves. And probably send some over to my kids so they can have a jar of beans if they're wanting to come in from work and have some beans and cornbread or something. But it does. It just makes you feel good to get all that cleaned up. No waste. I don't like wasting nothing. And to have this extra stuff on your shelf just by going through your refrigerator. Now, that being said, there was stuff that needed to be thrown out too. You don't want to can that stuff. So, you just have to be sensible about it, look through it, clean it up, clean it, prepare it, do everything that you need to do to be sanitary about your canning and dehydrating, and you'll just have that much more on your pantry shelf. And it don't matter that you just have maybe a couple pints or a few quarts. That's just adding to your pantry. So it's always a good thing. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this one up. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And remember, waste not, want not. Don't waste anything. You can always can it or dehydrate it, usually. So this is part of my decluttering for the beginning of 2019, even though I got an early start on it. So God bless everybody, and we'll see you in a couple of days. So pretty. I'll be able to use the canned lemons in like lemon pie or lemon bars, just about anything that you need lemon for. It's a good thing.